The Seven Faces of Dr. Low. One of the most overlooked films of all time in my opinion. It easily is an all-time classic for me. It's one of the biggest breakout films in terms of special effects and just stuff like that, but it also had a nice story, and I think it could have been a timeless classic if it were to catch on to the mainstream media. If you're new here, my name's Dominic and I love to talk about movies. If you also love to talk about movies, consider subscribing down below for more content like this every single day. I recently checked out the movie The Seven Faces of Dr. Low, and I got the idea from one of my favorite film YouTubers named Cinemassacre. If you don't know who he is, check him out, he makes some pretty awesome content. Anyways, I watched this film and I was immediately taken aback. This is one of the strangest and most bizarre films that I think I've ever seen, but also is wildly entertaining and is probably one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen. I personally think this film is actually in my top 20 or even my top 15 of all time after watching it. Saying all of this though, let's get right into the positives of this film. So the positives. It is one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen, and it's actually can be quite funny at times. It has the charm that the good old movies have. I know that sounds confusing, but if you've seen like a really good old movie, I think you should know what I'm talking about. It just gives you a nice vibe and kind of a state of mind that it puts you in that's just unlike anything else. It's a strangely cool story, and you're immediately immersed into it with like characters and like this old western town, and you immediately, like, there's a protagonist and the antagonist are like immediately identified. You kind of identify with the protagonist, you root for him, and the antagonist, you're like, I don't really like that guy. So that's right off the bat, you get that, which is good. The characters are just awesome, like their traits and like the protagonist's traits make them super likable. The antagonist is like doing stuff so you're like, oh, I don't agree with him, this is not good, whatever, right? And lastly, the story is extremely well written. The characters are given good arcs, even though the film isn't super long. But especially the character Ed Cunningham, he has probably the best arc in the film. The dialogue overall was pretty good, and the humor worked for me like a lot of the time. The only time it was like kind of iffy for me was all the scenes with Pan and Angela. It's just, I didn't really like those. Now for the negatives, I really don't have much negative to say about this film because I really liked it for the most part. A lot of the humor worked for me, but as I said before, there's a few parts, like the parts with Angela and Pan, when Pan's like with this flute, like trying to seduce her or whatever. It didn't really work for me. It was pretty uncomfortable, and I don't know. It was just really cheesy. It didn't really work for me. But other than those scenes, basically the entire movie worked for me. Like the story was pretty cool. I loved the characters, and just everything kind of flowed together nicely, and it just made an awesome film. Now that you've heard my take on the film, I'm gonna get into my rating. I love this film, and I definitely want to try and get it on Blu-ray because I definitely see myself rewatching this one a ton. Anyway, without further ado, I'm giving The Seven Faces of Dr. Low a 96%. This by no means is a perfect film, however, I had an absolute blast with it, and I personally recommend this film to everyone, especially if you can watch older films. And that's it for my review of this film, The Seven Faces of Dr. Low. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like down below, and also subscribe to my channel for more content like this every single day. Comment down below what films you want me to review next, and I'll be sure to review all of them. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.